Most movies, especially ones geared towards kids, usually have a character that's designated as the comic relief character, or the person whose sole purpose it is to be funny or bring levity whenever things start to get tense. And usually, these characters either become the most popular or most hated in the entire movie. And even when they do become popular, there are usually still people out there who say their presence ruins the movie for them. And today, I'd like to go over why I believe these characters are actually needed ones and what a lot of people don't seem to realize about them. Okay, so the first question to ask is, why do these characters exist in the first place? And the simple answer is, to be funny. However, there is a more complicated reason to that, which is that many people believe the comic relief character is the one put in for the kids and is the one that will appeal the most to them. That's why sometimes an alternative name for them is actually the kid appeal character. Now, personally, I don't believe in that. I feel that anybody of any age group can like, relate, or dislike any character in a given movie. But just for the sake of argument, let's say that they're right. Let's say that the comic relief characters are the ones that children like the most, and by contrast, are the ones that the adults are most likely to hate. And to better help emphasize the point I'm trying to make, let's use a specific example of that. Specifically, the gargoyles from the Disney version of The Hunchback of Notre Dame. They're absolutely despised by many people, with many of them saying that they shouldn't have been in the movie at all. But the thing is, I disagree with that. Because here's the thing. They were clearly meant to be the kid appeal characters, and if they succeeded, if the children liked them and found them funny, then as far as I'm concerned, they've done their job. Because what a lot of adults who watch these movies don't understand is, it's technically not made for them. And before you run to the comments to chew me out, yes, I know, as I myself have said, Disney movies are meant to be enjoyed by everybody, no matter their age group. And I still most certainly believe that. But the thing is, the writers still intended this to be a movie kids could watch. They specifically went out of their way to make sure it would get a G rating, meaning that they knew, expected, and wanted children to watch it. And thus, if you're going to do that, then you have to put in characters that will appeal to them. Let me just say, when you as an adult turn on a G-rated movie made after 1990, you have to go in expecting that certain things will be in there just for the kids. Because while I do believe children deserve quality entertainment and that it was made for kids is no excuse for anything to be subpar, I also believe that it has to be made for them. Let's look at it this way. If a movie is made specifically for young boys, like the original Transformers movie was, then there's a good chance it won't appeal to girls. I mean, I'm not saying that girls can't enjoy it, but the chances are considerably lower because the writers are targeting a specific and very different demographic, and therefore will put in things that would appeal specifically to young boys, even if it brings down the quality ever so slightly. To put it simply, when a story is trying to target one particular group, then it will sometimes make concessions in the quality to make it appeal to that group as much as possible, and it's no different with kids' movies. Now, you can argue all you want how much The Hunchback of Notre Dame was actually intended for kids, but the fact still remains that the writers knew that if nothing else, kids were going to watch it. And that's where the gargoyles come in. I mean, think about it. Some people already say that the movie's too dark. So imagine what it would be like if they weren't there. They honestly do provide the much needed levity a movie children are watching needs. Now, have there been other comic relief characters that have done the same job better? Absolutely. But the fact still remains that even if they could have been done better, they're still most definitely needed in the movie, and if you ask me, do their intended job very well. Sure, Some might say the movie's not as good as it could have been because they were there, but as I said before, considering the target audience was technically children, I feel that's a concession that simply must be made for any adults watching it. To put it into perspective, if I'm watching a movie I know is made for kids, then the way I see it, certain things are inevitably going to be in it, and as long as the children like it, then it's alright with me. Because, as the target audience, their opinion of it is more important than mine. And that's not even getting into the fact that on the more practical side of things, they also give somebody for Quasimodo to express his thoughts to. If he was all alone up there, how is he supposed to communicate how he feels to the audience without talking to himself? And they do at least provide a reason why he's so nice when raised by such a horrible man, as they were around him more and much nicer to him at that. And if you still want a darker interpretation of the movie and believe it's all in his head, then there's really nothing in the movie that provides any concrete evidence against that. But the point is, they most definitely have many different roles to fill in the story, and if you ask me, fill them all exactly the way they're supposed to. Sure, maybe they don't fit the tone of the story, and maybe people think they're annoying, but if the children liked them, then that's what's most important in this case. In all honesty, I don't get how people can say they shouldn't have been in the movie, because if they weren't, it might just be too boring, dark, and scary for children to even enjoy. And in the end, they are a huge part of the audience, so their opinions and how they feel do matter too. By contrast, let's look at an even more hated character, Scrappy Doo. The thing is, other than appealing to children, I would say he actually does take away from the story. He doesn't really contribute anything not already there, steals the spotlight from other characters, and certainly isn't needed to lighten the mood. In other words, while I personally never hated the character, in his case I can see where people are coming from when they say he shouldn't be there. But at the same time, he did also succeed in saving Scooby-Doo at his lowest point by appealing more to children, which one could argue is still a rather notable accomplishment, if really his only one. Okay, so I guess what I'm really trying to say is comic relief characters are needed, even if they're just there to appeal to the children. Now, as I said before, there are ways to make them just as likable to the grown-ups, and I won't argue that a story will suffer when it gets them wrong, even if the children still like them. But at the end of the day, I just wish that more adults would keep in mind that when they're watching a kids movie, they're going to have to accept certain things will be thrown in just to appeal to the little ones, even at the sake of bringing down the quality just a smudge. And if you ask me, the downplaying or removal of these particular characters in recent movies only further proves the point I was trying to make in my Pixar Problem series. That they're moving away from the children and telling stories intended more and more for adults with each passing film. And you can have whatever opinion you want about the Hunchback of Notre Dame, the gargoyles, and characters like them, but I still respect the writers of that movie for going out of their way not to forget about the children. Okay, that's all I have to say. So what do you think? Do you like the comic relief characters intended for children and think they're needed? Or do you hate them and think they should be phased out? Please let me know in the comments below. And remember, you are free to disagree with me about everything I just said. I don't hate you for having a different opinion than me. You can hate any character and say they should have been removed all you want. I'm just trying to have a nice, peaceful discussion. That is my only intention with this video. And alright, before I ramble on any further, thank you for watching. It is very greatly appreciated, and I hope to see you all next time.